Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. My name's Elina. I am the founder of Dood Woof, based in Austin, Texas. So Dood Woof is an e-com dog brand specifically focused on the doodle market. So anything mixed with a poodle, any dog breed mixed with a poodle is a doodle.
Awesome. So I'm just curious about your background and your story. How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, a little bit unique. I did not have any background in e-com. So in 2023, I was working this tech job and I saw that we were doing layoffs and I saw that it was probably my time pretty soon. So I was thinking about things that I should start or I could do after that. And then I did get laid off and I almost thought it was like a sign from the universe that I should start my own thing. I've always had this entrepreneurial bug, and so I had some savings, etc. So I decided to start this e-com brand, and I didn't know anything about it, but I did a lot of YouTube University. And so I learned how to get in manufacture, how to get on Amazon. I think the first thing I did though was pick a specific group of people that I wanted to serve. So for me, I had a dog. So I personally was a doodle owner and I saw that this was a specific group of people that I could talk to on social, through advertising, and I could create products and multiple products too.
So in terms of that process, right, of formulate on this product and you have your audience, how did you get their feedback to understand what they wanted or what you should build for them?
Yeah, very manual. So in the beginning, I didn't have any audience. So what I did was I went into Facebook and I would go into these doodle Facebook groups that had hundreds of thousands of people in there. And I would literally make a post in there that said, hey, I was wondering if anyone would be down to talk to me about the challenges of having a doodle. So I talked to probably 10, 15 people and would hop on 15-minute Zoom calls. People are really willing to talk about their dogs and just to help out. So I noticed right away that there were 3 big challenges they mentioned of having a doodle, which was that they get matted and tangled easily. So it's hard to brush them out. 2 is that they're very high energy. And then 3 is that they're super smart. So I decided to focus on them helping with the mats and tangles. And so I went to my friend ChatGPT and I was like, hey, this is the problem that I want to solve. What are some ideas for products? And so one of the products that ChatGPT mentioned was a dog detangler spray. So I went and looked at what already existed in the market. And I noticed that they were all just made with really bad ingredients, things you couldn't pronounce. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to create a dog detangler spray, a doodle detangler spray, and I'm going to create it with all natural human grade ingredients, and I'm going to figure it out.
That's awesome. And in terms of the ingredients, did you use ChatGPT as well, or did you have a scientist help guide you with that? What was that process like?
Both. I found something. So this company in Australia had a really natural product. So I used them I found a manufacturer. Most of them told me they couldn't do what I wanted them to do. They're you can't make it completely natural. And then somehow on the 9th page of Google, I talked to a ton of manufacturers, but I found this one company and we started chatting with them and I kind of showed them what this Australian company was doing. They were telling me we should switch out these ingredients to make it better. And then I went through some blogs about how people made homemade, essentially detanglers, how they made homemade stuff to help brush their dogs out. And there was one ingredient that a lot of them used, which was marshmallow root. So I was like, okay, let's just add this in there. Pretty casual. And so then they created a formula. And throughout that same time, I was posting on social and I had a very small audience. Just I would post things just today I talked to the manufacturer, or I would send emails, little things like that. But you don't need a big audience to be successful. And so that little audience, I was like, hey, will anyone be willing to test this on their dog? And so they tested it. They provided feedback. I would go back to manufacturer, made changes, etc. And I think there was 3 iterations until we got to our final product.
So was it more of just this manufacturer was willing to take it on, or I guess what about them made you feel that they were a good fit too?
So in general, a lot of manufacturers have formulators on site. So what made them a good fit is that the things I asked them that they could produce. First of all, I mean, that was important. I was not going to release a product that wasn't all natural. The other thing is they had the minimum order quantity when I was first starting. They had a good, which is the amount of product that you'll order. It made sense for me. And then the price point I didn't really have that much to compare it to at that time, but I was able to kind of plan out what my margins would be. And they were really communicative. I think that's like a huge part about finding a manufacturer. You want someone that's going to answer you like day of, because there's a lot of shit that can go down, and you want someone that's not just going to leave you hanging for like a week.
Right, so they were kind of like communicative, and on top of that, they could help you with the formulation, make it to kind of how you wanted it to be. And even like when you made that first formulation, because you were saying that I think that you had to do it 3 different times. So how did you kind of figure out that like the current one that you have is like the right one for your customers?
Just by asking people to test it, provide feedback, test it, provide feedback. And then the last one, it got really good feedback. People were saying that this was better than leading brands that they were using. And yeah, and I tried it on my dog and it worked. So regardless, like you release it into the market, and that first day, you low-key just kind of hope for the best. Even though you've done all this testing, you really don't really know till you start getting random people's reviews in. So you can do like what you can do up front, but you also always have to be prepared to reformulate.
Right. So in terms of like getting out like into the market, like what was that process like? I mean, you were saying that, I mean, Amazon has been a big channel. So did you kind of do like Amazon ads, Meta, TikTok? Like what was kind of like your early strategy to kind of get it out in front of as many people as possible?
In the beginning, I was broke. So I knew that before I had to build an audience in order to get sales. I couldn't just put money in a bunch of ads because they're not going to convert. I didn't have any reviews. They're not going to convert. But I needed to get people to buy day of, because honestly, I had like 1 or 2 months left to pay rent. And so if I didn't get sales the first day, it was not going to be good. So I spent 6 months just documenting my journey on Instagram, emailing, like a lot of one-on-one interaction, like people that follow me, I'd DM them. I'd learn about them, and I'd get people hyped for when the product was going to get released. And so I had a whole launch strategy leading up to the actual day that I launched the product. And so the day that I launched, we ended up triggering the Amazon algorithm because a ton of people bought it. And then we got #1 new release. And then I started flooding everyone with like, please leave reviews, because you can throw money into ads in the beginning, but they're not going to convert until you have reviews. So now like I'm at a point for sure where I put a lot of money into ads, but I also have almost 1,000 reviews on that product. But I just launched a second product and I'm literally going through the same process again. I didn't start putting money into ads till I at least had a base of reviews. But in order to have a base of reviews, you need people to trust you and buy your product when you have none. And the only way people will do that is if you document your journey, if you build trust with them one-on-one so that they want to buy the product, it kind of take a chance on you and support you.
Right. So in terms of early on, you were saying it was kind of like Amazon was that channel that you were driving traffic to. I guess like, what about right now? Is it still mostly Amazon, TikTok, Shopify site? What does that breakdown kind of look like?
75% Amazon, 20% TikTok Shop, and then stragglers come through the website, probably through blogs or Pinterest. But all my traffic, so one unique thing that I do is, problem with Amazon is they don't give you any customer data. So what you want to do is you want to collect that customer data up front. So I run Facebook ads and it takes them to a landing page where they give me their email and contact information, or email and name. That's really it. And then after they get that, then I give them a link to Amazon. So that's like the way to do the system differently. So I have a ton of emails, even though I send them to Amazon. But I guess for me, like there's pros and cons to both. One of the big pros for me is that Amazon compounds over time a lot. So you go up the organic rankings and then random people find you on there. So you send outside traffic there, but then they also have their own traffic.
So are you doing Amazon FBA then, I'm assuming?
Amazon FBA, yep.
So in terms of like that channel, I mean, 75% is obviously like a big number for one channel. So like, are you looking to kind of like diversify here in 2025? Like, what are some of your goals like from that standpoint?
So just launched the second product, same strategy, third product, same strategy, fourth product will be the same strategy. I probably won't look to diversify. I'm going to look to diversify products, but because I want to sell, I already have the customers. So I can sell that same customer multiple products that they need. versus I'm not as concerned with diversifying channels until probably I have like 4 products or 5 products. I have things coming from TikTok Shop, which kind of evens out, like it helps with the risk mitigation a bit. I have a lot of influencers on there. A lot of people either will buy through TikTok Shop or through Amazon.
So in terms of diversification of channels, obviously, as you said, once you kind of get more products, what are some of the channels that you'd be like ideally looking to put your products in? Is it more so like physical retail? Is it more so direct to consumer? What are you kind of like thinking about? Like, where are you kind of like envision this product in the future?
Shorter term, so definitely online direct to consumer for the foreseeable future. Retail is A, lower margins, B, it's like, especially the big retailers, it's a full-time job to work with them. Like you have to redo all your packaging. They have their own specifications. Cash-wise, they have like net 90 terms half the time. So the cool thing about Amazon and like online in general, is you get your cash every 15 days. So for growing brands, like you can't beat that. Like it's growing so fast. I need that cash to put into buy more inventory. So there will be a time where I will go into retail, but not anytime soon.
And then in terms of like future SKUs, like do you have certain SKUs in mind that you're kind of looking at launching or different types? Like, I mean, obviously it seems like you're kind of focusing more on like the doodle niche. Are you thinking like going like outside of that niche for like more general dog owners or other products for doodles? Like, what are you kind of thinking about from that perspective?
Yeah. So I'm building a brand for doodles. So everything will be related to doodles. Now I have a lot of people that find the product, like Yorkie owners, etc., and still use it. But I'm interested in like someone has a doodle, they know they can go to Dood Woof, and we have like for everything they need. So all the products I'll be launching will be doodle specific. Obviously, like any dog really can use like the different products, but it's more marketed towards doodles, and it's like our own little community. Yes, I have a couple SKUs in mind for one later this year, one definitely next year. And I'm not planning to do variations until I have 4 products. I'm just doing the same thing I'm doing and no variations, but just new products. And then after that, I'll kind of step back and like think about what I want to do next, what direction.
And in terms of like where your customers, like obviously, I mean, like you're here in Austin, are most of your customers you see kind of in Texas, across the U.S., or even like people are finding you globally? It's like, what does that breakdown?
Mostly in the U.S. I do have global people, but that would be a distraction to go sell there or try to sell there. So it's 4 products, at least 4 products in the U.S., same strategy until probably like end of next year, and then reassessing what I want to do next.
I guess like are there certain parts of the country where currently where you're seeing like more of your sales? Like is it more so like in urban areas in Texas or California and New York? It's like where are you kind of seeing those trends of sales per se?
I thought it would be more like Austin, New York, or not Austin, California, and maybe slightly I see a little bit more in Cali, but honestly it's all over, all cities. Like there's so many people that have poodle mixes because they don't shed, and they're just like all over the world, all over the U.S.
For sure. So I guess like for the rest of 2020, like I mean, obviously that you're looking at more SKUs, but what else are you kind of focused on and looking forward to for the rest of this year?
Definitely SKUs, and then understanding like so I have someone on my team now, which is great. And so getting more like into the owner's position where I'm not involved in the day-to-day is important in case I ever want to sell. You don't want to be the person that's running the show. So kind of figuring out what places and where to put people so that this is like a smooth operation. Also getting more of a social media strategy going. So right now I'm posting a bit like, I just don't feel like there's a cohesive strategy, and I think there's a big opportunity for that. So working on that as well.
So are you looking at putting out like more content yourself or partnering with more influencers? Like what are you kind of thinking about in terms of your social media strategy?
So the influencer part of social media has been really good. So that will probably just continue how it's going. So it's more like me doing stuff and understanding like what content do I want to do, what content resonates, and just in general, like the cohesive strategy for the brand for social media for like our Instagram, etc.
And in terms of like the person who you hire, like what is that person doing that's kind of like helped you save time for just compared to like, you know, like a task that you were doing before? And like what else would you want to be hiring for in the future in terms of like delegating and scaling your brand?
So she's been amazing at like taking over there's so many little day-to-day things that I was doing. And so creating SOP, standard operating procedures for her, even just documenting all that stuff was really good practice. but she's been able to take over a lot of those, like communicating with customers, any issues, etc. And she's also extremely creative, which I really did not know until I just got lucky with that. But so she's like redoing our shop of like some of the designs. She'll do our Pinterest post, etc. Just because she's super good at that stuff, like making everything look pretty. That's been really good. For future people, as we get into more SKUs, there's going to be more inventory management. I still have like a laundry list of random tasks going on. So things like that, keeping track of different financial things, etc. So there's plenty of little tasks.
For sure. So if you could go back in time to before you started this company, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
It would be, you don't need to know everything, just start. So a lot of time, I can speak for myself and for people that I've chatted with that want to get into entrepreneurship, but like, it seems like everyone overanalyzes and wants everything. Perfectionism is a huge entrepreneurial trait, and it's also the biggest downfall. A lot of times you just need to get it like 80% of the way there, and just anything, any task, just starting your business, like get some of the idea. You're going to pivot. It's going to change over time. But like, if you don't start, you're going to be in the same exact place that you were a year ago until you start.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's like too many people are just afraid of like failing or something, or like I'm not being good at something. But like, just to your point, starting it, like you just never know, what you can accomplish if you don't actually go and go for something and try it out.
Yeah. And if you do like one thing every day, because it can get overwhelming, but if you move the needle literally 1% or do one thing every day, there's no way like you're not going to get to your goal. Even if it takes you 10 years, everything compounds over time. So you just need to like start.
Exactly. 100%. Very good advice. Like if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you or to buy your products, you mind sharing your website or social media, I guess, best ways to find you?
Yeah. If you have a doodle, feel free to check me out at Dood Woof Co, DoodWoofCo on Instagram. And then if you're interested in building an e-com brand, you can check out my website at www.elinatalksbrands.com.
Thanks so much for your time today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.